Do you remember the very beginning of the pandemic when we were seeing headlines that nature was healing? It was around March, April 2020, and we were all staying inside because we thought we were going to die. It was a scary time, but it turned out there were a lot of benefits for our natural environment. CO2 emissions started to go down, air quality started to get better, animals started taking over public spaces in cities, and there were even viral images of dolphins swimming in the canals in Venice. The reason I bring this up is because it exposed a very important insight. When economic growth slowed down, the health of our environment improved. And that's an important insight, but it's not the complete picture, right? Because even though it was good for our environment, the downturn pushed millions of people into desperate financial situations. And that suffering happened because the downturn manifested as a recession. It was sudden, it was extreme, and it was unplanned. So if you step back and think about all this, it begs a very important question. What if we could have the benefits of slowed down economic growth, but without human suffering? Well, if you've made it this far into the video, I have good news for you. We can. Welcome to my Ideas for a Better Economy series, where today we're talking about degrowth. Degrowth is a social, political, and economic movement that critiques the assumption that the economy always needs to be growing, and instead asks the question, what if we slow down growth to bring the economy back within the ecological limits of our planet? If we make this shift, proponents of degrowth argue that we can stop thinking of the economy as this infinite growth engine and start thinking of it as a way to meet people's needs. Imagine that, the economy as a way to meet people's human needs? Who would have thought? In all seriousness, people working on degrowth look at it in terms of economic justice. Who are the people and countries that have been left behind by the infinite growth engine that we've set up, and how do we make sure that future growth benefits them while the rest of the economy slows down? There's a lot more to say about this, and I'll be talking about it more, but I hope this was a helpful intro. Stick around for more ideas for a better economy. Developed countries need to slow down economic growth. Are you crazy? That's a really bad idea. Economic growth has lifted millions of people out of poverty and reduced suffering around the world. Do you really believe that the economy can just keep growing infinitely? Yeah, I guess I do believe that. Okay, you're the crazy one, especially because the economy at its current size is already pushing the limits of what our planet can actually sustain. But here's where we disagree. If we make the transition to renewable energy, then economic growth won't harm the planet. I'm glad you brought that up because there's a couple of big problems with that line of thinking. I'll just mention two of the problems. The first is that we're nowhere close to finishing the transition to renewable energy. More than 80% of our energy still comes from fossil fuels. While we make that transition, slowing down growth, especially in high-polluting sectors and countries, would buy us valuable time. The second issue is that energy is not the only input to growth. The economy uses materials like water, chemicals, metals, etc., but we live on a planet with finite materials. That's why the push for infinite growth has led to so many other problems like biodiversity loss, microplastic pollution, ocean acidification, fertilizer. Okay, I get it. Honestly though, I just don't like the way you're saying we should stop innovating, stop making progress. It feels anti-human to me. It's not though. Resources may be limited, but human imagination is infinite. Human potential is infinite. If we apply human ingenuity within an economy that recognizes the limits of our planet, there's still infinite room for innovation within that context. In other words, the economy can get infinitely better without having to get infinitely bigger. Wow, that's actually kind of inspiring. Yeah, but we're running out of time to do this, and that's exactly why